Let's get started with Nikhil Arora from Back to the Roots.
Thank you so much. This is awesome to be here, guys. And I know we got a rapid fire 5 minutes. I'm going to go just tell a really kind of fast-paced, fun story about what we've learned about mushrooms, fish poop, and what that's taught us about cereal, food, and business overall. So taking a step back, you know, this whole company, Back to the Roots, started off our last semester in college at UC Berkeley, right over the bay. And it was our last semester, about 3 months before graduation. Myself and my other co-founder, Alex, were both undergrads. We thought we knew what we were doing. I was going into consulting, had a job offer lined up. Alex had a job offer going to investment banking, Morgan Stanley in New York. Literally thought we knew exactly what we were doing. And we're in this business ethics class, Professor Alan Ross's, about 3 months before graduation. And he brings up this one sentence. He's like, I even read somewhere you can grow mushrooms on coffee grounds. And something about that one random sentence inspired the both of us separately. Out of 150 students, for the two crazy kids who reached out to him and asked him for more information, he puts us in touch. He's like, I don't even know where I read it, but this other kid asked me about it too. You guys should link up. And we ended up meeting up and just hit it off right away. And next thing you know, we're putting down the finance books and picking up mycology books and Googling how to grow mushrooms on YouTube. And you know, you can imagine all the crazy stuff you find if you try to search that on YouTube. But you know, just diving deep into this world and realize, you know what, forget it, let's just give it a shot. And right before spring break, ended up planting 10 paint buckets of mushrooms. It's literally Ace Hardware paint buckets of coffee grounds mixed with mushroom spawn. Come back from spring break, one of them, literally that bucket right there, 1 out of 10 grows this beautiful crop of oyster mushrooms. And at that time, we knew nothing about food, let alone mushrooms, agriculture. We're both like, I'm not trying these. We just don't have no idea what we just grew out of this little paint bucket in Alex's fraternity kitchen. And we're like, what's the best restaurant in town? And we're like, let's just take this bucket, walked it over to Chez Panisse, ended up meeting Alice Waters, our head chef. They sauteed them up. Like, these are delicious. And that same day, got some support from Whole Foods and ended up, fast forward a few weeks, got a $5,000 grant from our chancellor and said, you know what, forget investment banking, forget consulting, full-time urban mushroom farming it is, and dove into this whole, and it's been an amazing journey since, and kind of fast forwarding from that one sentence, that one class, ended up becoming valet waste collectors, collecting coffee grounds, about up to our max with coffee grounds, about 3.2 million pounds in 2014 from Pete's Coffee. Started growing bulk, wholesale, loose mushrooms. But along the way, selling those to farmers markets and restaurants, we realized people were more interested as they came to tour our farm about how we were growing them, not just what we were growing. And enough of those questions later inspired us to launch our first kind of CPG product, right? This little grow-at-home mushroom kit. You pop it open, and in 10 days, you get this beautiful crop of organic oyster mushrooms that you can throw in pasta, soups, tacos, things like that. And eventually kind of started realizing there's something here about bringing design, sustainability, kind of this like Pixar food appeal where you design good food and good food experiences where a 4-year-old and a 40-year-old can both equally enjoy it. And took that lens to then launch the first home aquaponics system called the Water Garden. Kickstarter funded this, had a $100,000 goal, hit about $250,000 in 30 days. Launched that in Nordstrom, Whole Foods, Petco. Now it's in about 10,000 stores nationwide. Just last spring, took that and launched these gardens in a can, which all you guys can take home with you today. Basil, sage, dill, cilantro, using this really neat old biochar technology. So worked with the soil scientists at UC Berkeley. There's no drainage holes, no messy saucers right on your windowsill. You can start growing your own herbs. And since what started off literally a Berkeley farmers market has now turned into about 14,000 stores, from Home Depot to Whole Foods to Nordstrom. This is literally Nordstrom and Petco's displays back there, and just starting to see the universality of food and bringing good design to it. Also realized our best experiences wasn't coming from foodies and chefs. It was coming from kids and seeing them, how do you get them growing their own food and experiencing where their food comes from again. And before we knew it, we had a whole ready-to-grow line. We started launching just in the retailers building our own sections. This launched nationwide in Target last year in these really awesome grow your own savings end caps. It's getting people growing their own food. And through all that, kind of started learning some big things, like what do we stand for? And it was sustainability. It was that Pixar food, that kids lens, and it was kind of leading with like fun, functional design. And we started realizing too, while we were selling mainly in the produce section of stores, you walk 7 feet over to the first grocery aisle, and all that trust, that transparency, that consciousness you feel when you're in the produce section, you lose it in the grocery aisle, right? It's different ingredients, different manufacturing principles, different rules, different regulations. And we started talking to our buyers at Whole Foods and Target. We're like, we think a brand can translate to grocery too and bring that same trust, that same transparency over to the grocery aisles, and started brainstorming this notion, like start undoing food and undoing categories and got some amazing support from Whole Foods, and ended up being able to visit just tons of farms, kind of trying to find out what we were passionate about. And through it all, ended up falling in love with wheat, and just kind of realized when everyone's running away from wheat right now with this whole gluten-free thing, it's not wheat, it's not gluten, it's kind of what we've done to it. And industrial milling, stripping all the good stuff out of wheat, the wheat bran, the wheat germ oil, kind of realized, you know what? Outside of the last 100 years, for thousands of years, we used to stone mill our grains, 100 pounds of kernels into 100 pounds of flour. And we kind of realized, how do we bring that back to kind of people today, make it accessible? Realized there's an amazing opportunity in the breakfast cereal category, taking something that started off as a health food with the Kellogg's brothers, now as a candy category, in the same crappy, unrecyclable, hard to open, hard to seal bag in a box. It hasn't changed in 100 years for a $10 billion category, and took all that and ended up launching the first line of 100% stone ground, US grown breakfast cereals, all with just 3 or 4 ingredients. You put the recipe for the cereal on the box itself, so you can literally go home and make these flakes yourself. And it's been incredible just seeing the same energy from California whole wheat, 3 ingredients, cocoa clusters, just launched the first ever organic purple corn flakes with Kroger last fall. It's beautiful purple corn. And as we kind of look back and just take a step back, we're starting to realize that where we fit into this, where the first wave of food was all about putting a brand on food, your Kraft, Kellogg's, it was about this idea like food safety, right? And it was like, trust us, we didn't make this in a bathtub. And that second wave came out, and it was all about this notion of like, trust us, we're not spraying nasty chemicals on it. I think we're in this third wave now about radical transparency, and that's kind of what we're trying to build, the back to the roots through our ready to grow and ready to eat products. So thank you guys very much.
Very cool. So cool. All right, anybody have any questions for Nikhil, aside from where to get this stuff?
Okay. How's your products been selling so far? And then, well, you said not to ask, but where can I buy this?
So we're nationwide in Home Depot, Whole Foods, Kroger, Safeway. Actually, big partnership we'll talk about too right now is we just last fall made an amazing partnership with Sodexo, the largest food distributor in North America, launched our Ready to Grow line into 2,300 classrooms as well with curriculum. So it's a big focus for us is not just retail, it's getting it into kids' hands. And so the Mushroom Kit, Water Garden, Gardens in a Can are right now in 2,300 schools across the country. And we just shipped out the cereals for the first time, launched about 4 weeks ago in California, 400 districts. Swapping out Kellogg's with 100% stone ground cereal. This spring, launching in the New York Public School System and LA Unified too. So it's been it's a combination of both.
Great presentation. I'm here. Just a quick question. What is your bottleneck right now to grow?
It's a couple of things. I think one, it was financing. We had bootstrapped this company. Literally, we just announced 2 weeks ago a $5 million seed round. So we just, after bootstrapping the company for 4.5 years, decided, you know what, taking all this vision, let's put some capital behind it, and let's really kind of scale this vision up. And so that was a big piece of it. And I think now it's taken a focus of execution. Our goal this year, we want to be the #1 organic cereal in the retailers we're at. And I think if we can crack that and crack the school side, it unlocks this vision of undoing food in all these other different categories. So what last year, we went from 2 to 15 SKUs last year. This year for us is all about kind of velocity, sell-through, execution in stores.
So nice presentation. I was wondering, how do you manage your supply chain? How does your distribution model work?
We started off doing all the farming ourselves, and every day we started off, Alex and I'd start at 4 a.m., collect coffee grounds for a few hours, plant them, harvest them, sell them in stores, demo it, and eventually kind of started realizing if we scaled it up, we could find partners who could do it way better than we could, and now we just have an amazing network of co-packers, co-manufacturers. So Mushroom Farm in Sebastopol, we manufacture the Water Gardens in Union City with a partner, just kind of really trying to finding out what we do best and what we don't, and find partners who can help us with that.
So looking at these cans in front of us on the table, I have to ask, when do you come out with cannabis in a can for Colorado?
You got to come by our office to see the little R&D happening. And I'll add one more thing about distribution too. I think there's a really cool thing we got to add here about food and tech coming together, especially this talk. That's really where I think we see this amazing opportunity here. Especially in the Bay, it's fascinating how food and technology are coming together. And we've kind of seen these two divergent paths. We call it the undoing and the new doing of food. And the undoing, I guess, focus on new doing. The new doing, which you guys have, I'm sure, heard about, hundreds of millions of dollars of tech funding going to this notion of we all agree there's a broken food system. We're going to reinvent the future food. That's patented food, laboratory-based food. It's your Impossible Foods, your Soylent, your Beyond Meats, where we're going to invent new foods that's going to be patented. It's laboratory-based food. The flip side, which we're passionate about, is also rather than inventing it, let's undo food, use technology for distribution, for transparency, for logistics, but keep food the way it was. Our kind of motto is like make food as made in a kitchen, not in a lab. You go to our R&D team page on our website, it's all of our team's grandparents. It's like, that's the kind, we're like, and there's starting to see there's two divergent paths of how do we solve the future of food, and we're really passionate about saying, you know what, it's not just a new doing, it's a huge opportunity here to undo food back to how it used to be. So it's really fascinating for us how technology and food are coming together right now too.
Yeah, so with any product, it seems like, you know, getting to your first really big account, trying to get them to be your guinea pig, how did you consider, or I guess convince them, you know, to do so? And who was it?
Whole Foods was our very first customer, literally walked in with that one paint bucket of mushrooms. Funny, that same day went to Chez Panisse, took that one bucket, went to Safeway and John & Co.'s Berkeley Bowl, didn't get a light of day. Like, what are these two kids trying to go mushrooms in a fraternity trying to sell us, right? And I'll never forget this day. We walked in the Berkeley Whole Foods and we talked to this guy, Cesar, one of the produce guys. He was just packing the vegetables, and I'm like, hey, Cesar, we're trying to go mushrooms on coffee grounds. And his eyes lit up. He got the marketing team around him and connected us to the regional buyer. And he's like, if you guys figure this out, I'll blow this up in Whole Foods. And that was still when we were in school, but gave us the confidence. And Whole Foods was that initial launch partner for us. But I mean, this year, Home Depot will be our largest partner. We just launched in 2,000 stores nationwide with our mushroom kits, Gardens in a Can. We're announcing a brand new product. And you guys want to come out March 2nd, Wednesday, a big launch party in Oakland for a couple of new products that we're launching in April with them. So it's both produce and grocery and lawn and garden now.
2 seconds.
Look at that. Whew.
I think we did it.
Last thing, so we've got, for all of you guys to try, organic Stoneground Flakes, the California Whole Wheat, Cocoa Clusters, Purple Corn, and Gardens in a Can, so feel free to take some home with you. I'm so excited for you guys to try the cereals and start growing some of your own food. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Nikhil, back to the roots.
Good.